Ba-ba-ba-ba-ba, I'm loving news. Welcome to some more news, the only news show that's now sponsored by Shady Field Sunflower Oil. Start your breakfast right with America's favorite parody oil company made up for a YouTube video. That's good oil. So fucking good. Isn't that right, Professor Seeds von Greasy?
Put my greasy seed in you.
Adorable. I feel good about how this entire episode has started. Anyway, while we're talking about commercialism and disgusting cum puns, it seems like as good of a time as any to talk about the recent Super Bowl ads. After all, that's literally what this video is about. Now, while there were your standard body horror and celebrity cameos, like this one featuring Bill Murray that appears to be selling a groundhog or something, I don't know what else you would want to buy in that ad. Well, there was only one ad that stood proudly atop the rest like a blood-soaked gladiatorial champion. The only winner of the Super Bowl was, of course, this larva legume, a squirming, top-hatted infant peanut designed to sell you other peanuts for consumption that has been called Baby Nut. Now, I hate Baby Nut. I hate Baby Nut for a lot of reasons. I hate Baby Nut so intensely. Not just because he's a baby, which is disgusting, but also in a way where I hope that by the end of this video, you'll all hate Baby Nut just a little bit more so that we may murder him. And thanks to a recent X-ray accident, I know exactly what you're thinking, or at least a variety of muddled thoughts being blasted at me right at this moment, which is that you either think Baby Nut is harmless, possibly cute, and don't understand the hate toward him, or you belong to a group of like-minded nut haters who are wondering why I would ever use my powerful and sexy platform to further boost attention toward this insidious kernel. And while I understand that by using an entire video to talk of this little nut, I'm playing right into the advertiser's hands, I really hate Baby Nut. And to explain why exactly that is, well, we have to go back in time a little bit.
No, you don't. Don't do it, Mr. P. No! Maybe he'll be all right. Maybe not.
Titled Road Trip and aired on January 22nd, this Planters commercial starring Blade and Ass Pennies begun the saga of Baby Nut with the grisly, blunt force trauma death of the elder mascot, Mr. Peanut. Immediately following the departure of this fictional assortment of computer animation, Twitter exploded with hashtags like RIP Nut. Time magazine offered a solemn headline, and brand accounts everywhere expressed their condolences, including Ritz Crackers, Reese's, Buffalo Wild Wings, Mr. Clean for some reason, Jeopardy, again for some reason, and f***ing PETA, which will get a video if they don't sue us, which PETA likes to do anyway. The Mr. Peanut Twitter account offered a fond montage of the mascot pushing salted nuts over the years. And for all of January 22nd, his death was the thing everyone wanted to talk about. Which is weird, because January 22nd was also the day that comedy icon Terry Jones died. One of the founders of Monty Python, the writer of the film Labyrinth, co-director of Monty Python and the Holy Grail, and most importantly, a person who is real. His death came after a long and inspirational battle with dementia, and should have perhaps been the thing people were mourning that day, perhaps, maybe. And while some people did do that, it was largely overshadowed by an ad agency deciding to pretend kill a mascot and then pretend mourn the pretend mascot's pretend death. No one with power questioned whether this was perhaps in grotesquely bad taste to do, not just because of Mr. Jones's departure, but also the millions of real people mourning real deaths. Like, statistically speaking, when the news of this peanut demise broke, there were likely at least 1 or 2 people mourning real deaths from peanut allergies, for example. Anywho, this lasted a few days until Kobe Bryant died in a real accident and explosion. Not a peanut mobile or whatever the accident. And planters paused their ad campaign after realizing that perhaps, maybe, I don't know, maybe, it's not a good thing to violently kill off your mascot and then push an elaborate viral vigil in their honor so that you may sell a few more packages of salted tree ovaries. So, for those keeping track, the hierarchy of death respect goes Bryant on top, then the Peanut Man, then Terry Jones, and then the rest of society. Or maybe that's not it at all, because it's not like planters stopped their campaign altogether. And by the time the Super Bowl came around, we got this ad.
I know he'd be happy that we are all together now.
Yeah.
What is happening?
What is that? Is that a baby nut?
Okay, so first off, I guess now we know why Mr. Clean made that tweet, because the corporate synergy is strong in this one. That's a Star Wars reference, because Disney also. Also, is the Kool-Aid Man's tears like nut cum? Did he cry cum into the earth and birth Baby Nut? Is Baby Nut the child of Kool-Aid Man and Gaia, the Earth Mother? Is that it? Is that the canon? Kool-Aid, drink our nut cum, is what I guess is the message. So the baby nut was born. Busted into this world, that nut. A bursting nut. Let's just get this out of the way. Baby nut exploded. The coming of baby nut. Ball game results in nut. Unexpected nut explosion results in baby, who also nut. Wesley Snipes watches a baby nut. Funeral causes massive nut. Ejaculation from the ball sack. Hey, let's check in with Professor Seeds von Greasy. Wonderful stuff. Okay, moving on. So now the world has Baby Nut, and ain't he just adorable? Twitter sure thinks so. I mean, sure, he's a corporate nut mascot brought on by trivializing death, but look at those big ol' eyes. And this is where my rage really hits a beautiful apex, because while everything before this moment has been absolutely ghoulish, in a world where the internet just went bananas over a baby Yoda, there is simply nothing more pathetically transparent than a corporation sweatily pushing their own baby version of their mascot. Like, it's f***ing sad. You could argue that Baby Yoda was a calculated move by Disney, because of course it was, but at least it served the narrative of a very good TV show and only good Star Wars thing in a very long time. I mean, Force Ghosts can use the Force now to like lift ships. Like that's never come up before. I mean, like, what about all the other times that could have happened? Like, thanks Obi-Wan, Yoda, and all the other Force Ghosts. You f***ing slouches. People rightfully gushed over Baby Yoda online. The hype, while still a corporate ploy, at least seemed organic, because it's f***ing adorable. Meanwhile, several accounts made by planters were recently suspended from Twitter for spamming baby nut memes. Meme accounts that were created by the company before the commercial aired. They created a viral meme campaign in anticipation of the carefully arranged hype. And then people fell for it. They fell for the calculated plan to go viral because of a 90s quality CG rendering designed to appeal to humans' biological attachment to their spawn. Don't you feel just f***ing dirty? And the worst part, it absolutely worked. Baby Nut went viral. And I'm sitting here like an asshole talking about it. Which of course means that for the next year, we're likely going to see other corporations trying to push the same marketing ploy. How genuinely depressing. At this point, you might wonder who exactly the dickhead is that created this whole thing. Well, there's of course the original inventor of Mr. Peanut, who was created back in 1918 by a teenager who entered a contest to design the Planters mascot, won the contest, and went on to receive a grand prize of $5 once. But actually, I'm talking about the agency that created this specific campaign, also known as VaynerMedia, a company founded by Gary Vaynerchuk, an ad man who is exactly the kind of person you expect him to be. Here's a clip from one of his many vague seminars on inspiration and stuff.
I'm trying to get people to win. I'm watching real deep sadness, and it's not because of social media. Social media is not making you sad. Your insecurity is making you sad. I love you back. There's no system. You want to build something? It's hard work and talent. Hard work and talent. I know what's gonna happen. It's gonna post on YouTube, and I'm gonna read the comments. I'll be like, yo, easy for him to say, I'm rich, but I'll cry in my Ferrari, until you're crying in your Ferrari.
What the f was that? Okay, look. I'm not gonna rip on Gary too much because he could be a very nice person, and honestly, after that, I'm a little scared of him. But also because who gives a shit? There's something more important to talk about regarding this Mr. Peanut horror. A bigger world to explore, which is the historical but increasing pattern of corporations selling you their stuff based on human tragedy and emotion. After all, Mr. Peanut wasn't the only ad this year to use death to get to your wallet. Here's a doozy of an oogle from Google.
Show me photos of me and Loretta. Remember? Loretta hated my mustache.
Okay, number one, that mustache is bangin', and she was a fool for doubting you, sir. Number two, this is probably a good point to say that if you or someone you know was emotionally affected by an ad, that's extremely okay and human of you to do. You're not an idiot for thinking that a nut is cute, or that this Google ad, which hit people right in those feels, was in fact touching. After all, it was actually based on a real person. But also, that's just how filmmaking and storytelling works. With the right combination of music and editing and writing, you can make people cry over an imaginary friend, or a dinosaur, or even a f***ing volleyball, or a dog, or the concept of emotions, or perhaps even a sinister arm of the deep-reaching swine propaganda machine. It's called empathy, and it's good. It's okay to feel sad by a commercial because it means you're not a weird sociopath. But it's also because of that easily accessible human empathy that we should be the most upset over advertising techniques that take advantage of it. That Google ad did a great job of appealing to a very specific set of emotions around growing old and losing your loved ones and suffering dementia. And it turns out that the actual service they're flaunting probably wouldn't help all that much with those things, as the therapy designed for dementia, also known as reminiscence therapy, involves stimulating every sense, such as smell and touch, which Google can't provide. And that's still the best version of this problem from a company that at least actually helps with their employees' retirement plans, unlike many other companies. Of course, that's assuming you can retire. Am I right, depressing Timberland ad? Yeah! Let's buy some boots. And this is where we circle back around to that beautiful magical rage, because it's not just heartbreak and love of jizz that these companies are appealing to, and boy did they love jizz. And fisting, wow. It's not just that, but also a very real problem with these brands literally peddling depression. Millennials are currently dealing with a rising risk of death by suicide or drug overdose. We're the most anxious and depressed generation thanks to gestures to the world. Or as Fortune puts it, our spiking health problems are getting in the way of our economic potential. Great angle, guys. But also, I agree, providing healthcare for everybody would solve both of those problems. So, in what appears to be an effort to be down with the youth, companies have actually tried to harness depression. Hey, remember this waking nightmare? That's when Sunny D's Twitter account flat out posted a suicide threat. Sunny D, the goodness kids go for. Like suicide. You probably remember that, but might forget that the tweet was also sent during the Super Bowl and right after an actual person did the same thing. Followed by Little Debbie trying to talk the brand down from the ledge and becoming a corporate-sponsored suicide hotline. Hey, totally unrelated fact, there have been multiple studies linking high sugar intake from, like, drinks with a deceiving amount of sugar in them to depression. Like a really big study, too, involving almost 300,000 subjects. Anyway, Sunny D never addressed any of this, opting to tweet out a vague explanation and then moving on. Big mood last night. Buy my sugar drink, you fucking broke-ass sad sacks. Can we check in with Professor Seeds von Greasy and see what he thinks? Oh, how appropriate. Drink oil and die. So we now exist in an era where massive corporations are getting away with parodying the darkest and very realist of human emotions and somehow getting a pass as if they are real people, which seems pretty fitting, actually, considering what preluded back in the wild aughts.
And there are various ways of doing that. One is we could raise taxes on people. That's not the way. Corporations are people, my friend.
Hey, remember that guy? No? That's okay. You don't have to. But what the Scarecrow said there is chillingly more correct than it should be, and has been correct for a while. And ironically, the beginning of corporate peoplehood predictably started with a corporation taking advantage of human emotion and misery. You see, back in the 1880s, the Southern Pacific Railroad Company didn't want to pay certain taxes. They hired a lawyer named Roscoe Conkling, great name, bad person, who argued that taxing Southern Pacific was an act of discrimination under the 14th Amendment, also known as the one created to protect the rights of freed slaves. And it just so happened that Roscoe was the last living member of the drafting committee that created the amendment. So using this very important event in our nation's history, birthed from profound human suffering, Roscoe claimed that the drafters had specifically changed the wording of the amendment from citizens to persons because they intended to include corporations, and therefore corporations were protected under the amendment. His evidence was a personal journal he kept from when they first drafted it up, and asserted that this journal noted this decision at the time. Now, the court would never come to an agreement on whether or not Southern Pacific could be counted as a person, but historians would later discover absolutely no mention of Roscoe's claim in his journal, meaning that he lied. And for a while, we were happy to not consider corporations as human beings, since they weren't. But then came the 1970s, when the Supreme Court ruled that corporations had First Amendment rights to spend cash on ballot initiatives. Then in the 2010s, we got the Citizens United ruling that said companies could spend money as they wish in candidate elections. And that's where we are today. All because one company that didn't want to pay taxes tried to use fucking slavery as an excuse. And I guess you might be wondering, why does this all matter? Why should we be so upset when a large corporation tries to appeal to our emotions and build a hip, ironic personality based on death and depression? And the answer is that it's pretty fucking depressing, I guess. And maybe it's because I'm getting old, but it seems like the problem of people happily eating out of corporations' hands is getting worse with social media. And when CEOs like Elon Musk and companies like Apple and studios like Disney get this sycophantic fan treatment, it enables them to continue to abuse human rights in absolutely villainous ways without nearly as much public accountability. It puts the power in the wrong hands. It's gross. I hate it. When Marvel's contract ran out with Sony over SpiderMan, the previous contract had been greatly in favor of Disney, the giant monopoly. Sony's CEO was eventually able to make a deal that benefited his studio, which, let's face it, really needed a win. Now, I don't need you to feel bad for either of these giant companies, but when the negotiations first broke down, comic book fans absolutely lost their shit at Sony, blaming them for not letting Marvel take advantage of the character they legally owned the rights to. And I guess my questions for those fans are, did you enjoy being part of a corporate-fueled negotiation tactic? Is it fun to be part of a mindless horde like some kind of crowd scene in a Simpsons episode? To join the carefully arranged social media push by one huge company to pressure another company? Now, don't get me wrong, I love that Marvel Spider-Man. But isn't that just the most gross of all the grossness? It's absolutely a viable corporate strategy to harness toxic fandom in order for a company to get what they want. Meanwhile, Disney, the owners of Marvel and everything else, doesn't give a f about you. They just went after an elementary school for playing the Lion King without paying the licensing fees. That's a thing they just did. Because they aren't horny, or depressed, or babies, or charming. They're just an assortment of logos and slogans from outsourced ad agencies meant to push a large entity whose only goal is to get the money in your pocket into their pocket. That's it. That's their only motivation. We can enjoy their products and even their ads, but good God, we need to remember that they absolutely don't care about us and hold them accountable for trying to profit off of actual tragedy and genuine emotion. Which is why today, on this video, I'm gonna show that baby nut what I really think of its product. I bought like at least $100 worth of Planters nuts that I will now totally destroy to teach them a lesson. And every day, that little dapper worm baby Kool-Aid cum spawn exists, I swear, I'll keep buying these nuts and breaking them with a hammer. We have a hammer? We prepare a hammer? We don't, never mind. Okay, no hammer, no, I'll use my teeth like an animal. Yeah, that's the stuff. That's so salty. And all of you should join me in buying Planters nuts and destroying them with your mouth. Hashtag buy Planters nuts. We can do this, people. Maybe I'll destroy them into a cookie. You know, eat those, all right? Maybe a brittle. That sounds delightful. Yeah. You nuts! You like this shit? You corporate f***s? I'll show you who's the asshole. Professor Seeds Von Greasy, you want to get in on these nuts? He's dead. Don't worry, because let me introduce you to Baby Von Seed. Ah! I should have never played God.
Swallow my grease.
Can do, little seed. Can do. Really washes all the nut out of my mouth. Thanks for watching, everybody. Make sure to like and subscribe and do the YouTube stuff that you all know, because it's not your first day on YouTube. Check out our patreon.com/some more news, our podcast, Even More News. We have a merch store with links. We've got this, or perhaps some Professor Seeds Von Greasy merchandise. The famous character from TV.